Alright everyone, what we got is 04 Dodge Neon SRT4. This is going to be my first time actually making a video on how to anything whatsoever, and it's going to be on the clutch, and also it's going to be my first time doing a clutch. Got everything we need already set up. Obviously we got a lift and everything so we can get up in the air once we get our necessary stuff on. Over here we got everything that we're going to be putting in it. The clutch disc itself, pressure plate, flywheel, new clutch fork, which is not a necessity but recommended, the guiding tool, throwout bearing, and also we're going to be putting in a new rear main seal, which again is not necessary, but we're going to do it anyway. From here, first thing we're going to do, obviously we got it in the shop already. First thing we're going to do is take off everything that covers up the transmission. So your intake, battery, fuse box if you want to, and just any other little wires or whatever, just make sure everything's out of the way. Alright, well we got the battery out and the intake and all the other stuff that was on top here. Next step is going to be the shift linkage cables and everything from the throttle body all the way down the whole cold side pipe. You got a blow off valve, everything connecting to the cold side of the intercooler cooler. So the throttle body spacer and the throttle body, and also you have to take the cable off the throttle body as well. So everything there on down, and then the shift cables. Alright, we got the throttle body off, and as you can see I took the cold side pipe off just the throttle body because I think it'll be out of the way enough. But if not, I'll take it off the bottom once I get underneath the car. Next is going to be disconnecting the slave cylinder, which is right here, disconnected from there. And then after that is going to be the shift cable bracket, which I don't know if you can see it, but it's way back up in there. There's two 18mm bolts you got to disconnect off the tranny. So that's what we're going to do next. Alright, we got the slave cylinder disconnected and we got it zip tied up here. Also we got a little gray connector that is connected to the transmission and into the wiring harness of the car that we got connected, and just pushing that aside. We also got one of the bolts out for the shift cables back in there. This is what the bolt looks like. We're going to get the other one from underneath the car. And that's it. Next step, we're going to loosen the two top bolts on the bell housing here. There's one there and then one over to the right of that one. After you loosen those ones up, just get the car up in the air. Alright, we got the car up in the air and we got the front wheels off, both of them. Next, we're going to remove the little cotter pins and then the 32mm nuts that are behind the cotter pins inside of there to get the rotors off. Alright, we got those nuts off of both sides along with the washer and the cotter pins. Next, we're going to take off the lower strut bolts. There's two of them, 21mm. And also we are going to disconnect both of the tie rod ends on both sides from the bottom and then bang them out with a hammer. Also we are going to drain all the fluid out of the transmission, so when we do take the axles out we don't have fluid everywhere. Alright, we got the tie rod ends disconnected, the strut bolts are out. Next we're going to work on getting the axles out on both sides. We're going to put the nut back on here and bang it out so it'll come out of the back of the hub. And then we are going to just pull it out from the diff. Alright, we got the car lifted up a little higher now. You can see we got the axles removed from the hubs on both sides. There's one of them laying on the ground. The other one I just left sitting up in the car just because I didn't need to take it down. As long as you get it pulled out of the diff, then that's pretty much all you got to do. Next I'm going to take off this hot side pipe here from the intercooler. Alright, we got the whole hot side pipe taken off of here all the way up to the back of the turbo. And now what we're working on is getting the starter off. There's 3 bolts up there. 2 of them that face the passenger side, 1 that faces the driver's side. Move the starter. After that we're going to start working on all the bolts and nuts around the bell housing and just do one more check to make sure you got everything taken off that's actually connected to the bell housing. And reminder, make sure you took that other bolt off for the shift cables holding that bracket in. Alright, we got all the bolts off the tranny, and after about 30 minutes of making sure all the bolts were off and finding one last one over on this side way up top, so make sure you don't forget that one, we finally pulled the tranny off. Just make sure when you're pulling it off you go nice and slow, and make sure all your wires are off of it. Took us 3 people to get it up in the air, so if you're doing your driveway, I'm sorry. Now what we're going to do is take all these bolts off the back of the flywheel here. You can see it up in there. The light's sort of hard to see, but sure enough there's a bolt there. There you go. I'm not sure how many there are yet, but I think there's 4 of them. You can turn the flywheel around to get to each one from the bottom. Yeah, that's what we're going to do now. Alright, well, we got all that off, and now Ben here has started putting on the new flywheel. You got the old flywheel and the old clutch, pressure plate sitting there, and new flywheel. And then new clutch and pressure plate sitting there, waiting to go on. In the meantime, I'm in here changing out the clutch fork and the clutch fork pivot ball, which is this little guy right here. Where is it at? Old clutch fork, new clutch fork. We'll keep you updated. Should be putting her back in here in a few minutes.